When you're exploring the tea estates of northeast India, looking up at the mountains, the urge to continue straight into the Nepalese Himalayas is magnetic. But moving overland between these two neighboring regions is a notoriously difficult, time-consuming process. That brings us to the Panitanki-Kakarbhitta border crossing. For a long time, this route was heavily restricted, but it officially reopened to third-country tourists in August 2024. Knowing it's open presents a tough logistical choice. Taking this overland route saves you a substantial amount of money, but you have to weigh that against the physical and mental toll of the journey. You essentially have three ways to make this jump: book an expensive direct flight, take a massive detour west to the notoriously chaotic Sonauli border, or cross right here at Panitanki. This comparison table lays out the reality. Flying costs the most, but takes hours. Sonauli is cheap, but highly chaotic. Panitanki offers the same cheap overland coast, but with a different balance of travel time and stress. Unlike the overwhelming crush of crowds and touts at central crossings like Sonauli, Panitanki is known for quiet, relatively fast border efficiency. To decide if keeping that money in your pocket is worth the effort, we have to break the Panitanki route down into three distinct friction points. The first friction point is simply getting to the border. Your starting line is usually the regional transport hubs of Darjeeling, Siliguri, or the NJP train station. From any of these points, you have to track down local transport. You'll be looking for shared jeeps or a local bus with Panitanki written on the front. The financial upside of this route is massive. A bus ride covering this stretch often costs less than a single US dollar, and because it's a vital local artery, departures happen frequently throughout the day. You rarely have to wait long for a vehicle to start moving. But that accessibility comes with a harsh trade-off. You are going to navigate multiple transfers in a dusty environment, hauling your bags through heavily congested, underdeveloped transit hubs. Once you actually arrive in Panitanki, you won't find proper tourist infrastructure. There are no large warehouses, no comfortable waiting rooms, just a cluster of shops and the road to the crossing. You also have to race the clock. The Indian side restricts movement after dark, meaning if you arrive late, you are forced into an overnight stay in Siliguri to wait for morning. The approach is a major win for your budget, but it demands a high tolerance for the exhausting reality of regional transit. The second friction point is the crossing itself. Leaving India is surprisingly fast. You present your passport at a small roadside office and get your exit stamp with minimal formality. Next, you enter no man's land. It's about a 15-minute walk across a long bridge spanning the Mechi River, usually lined end-to-end with idling cargo trucks. Once you hit Kakarbhitta on the Nepali side, you walk into a quiet immigration office. They offer visa-on-arrival options for 15, 30, or 90 days. This checklist is where travelers make critical mistakes. First, the visa fee must be paid in exact US dollars, using crisp, pristine cash. Second, there are 0 ATMs nearby. If you show up short, no machine can bail you out. Third, Nepal enforces uncompromising laws requiring you to declare all foreign currency the moment you cross the border. The enforcement is severe. Recently, border forces arrested a US citizen here simply for carrying $21,500 in undeclared cash. Getting the visa is procedurally very easy, but if you fail to prepare your currency and declarations beforehand, you will be legally compromised or stranded. Assuming you clear immigration smoothly, you hit the third and most grueling hurdle, the 500-kilometer overland push to Kathmandu. Your options here are typically a 12 to 16-hour overnight bus, marketed as AC Deluxe, or an 11-hour daytime minivan known locally as a Hi-Ace. The financial upside appears again. For about $20 US, you cover a massive distance, and taking the night bus saves you the cost of a hotel room. But the term deluxe is purely marketing. The reality is you'll likely be in an aging, cramped vehicle with broken seats. These vehicles take a heavy physical toll, grinding their way through winding, heavily degraded dirt roads as they climb into the mountains. Sleep is highly unlikely. You compete against frequent food stops, severe jarring bumps, and blaring regional movies. You also have to factor in the high probability of severe delays. Landslides and traffic jams are predictable features of this specific route. Reaching the Kathmandu Valley overland is a severe endurance test. You are keeping your cash, but you are paying for the distance with your physical comfort. The Panitanki route presents a very specific profile, a geographically strategic, surprisingly friendly border crossing that is bottlenecked entirely by a punishing bus journey. This quadrant chart maps out your budget against your available time to help you decide if you should actually take this route. First, we have the long-term overlander, sitting high on time but low on budget. For this group, Panitanki is recommended. You have the time to recover, and the physical discomfort is worth keeping an extra $100 in your wallet. Next is the 2-week vacationer, working with limited time and a moderate to high budget. We strongly advise this group to fly. Taking a 16-hour transit will destroy 2 usable days of your vacation and leave you exhausted upon arrival. Buy the flight. Finally, the Northeast India Explorer, sitting right in the middle. If you are already stationed in Darjeeling or Sikkim, crossing at Panitanki is far superior to making a massive 500-kilometer detour just to use the Sonauli border. Regardless of where you fall on the chart, remember the single most vital piece of logistics. Approach that bridge with pristine US dollars in your hand. Ultimately, crossing at Panitanki is a strategic trade-off that tests exactly how you value your time, your money, and your endurance.